Hi, I'm Kate from the Weaving Loom, and I've been getting a lot of questions on how to make the chevron weave. A lot of people have told me it'd probably be easier to see in a video, which it probably would be, so I'm sharing that today. Okay, so to do the chevron weave, we're going to first start by making a twill. And I like to have at least 2 or 3 rows of the plain weave to help lock in my warp threads. So here I have a bunch of rows, but if I want it to be invisible, I'll usually make it with the same thread, just 2 or 3 rows of plain weave, and then I'll make my twill or chevron above that. So to start with the twill, we go 2 over, 1 under, all the way across. Okay, and pull our thread through. And I leave about 2 or 3 inches for the tail to weave that in later. Okay, so on the way back, I'm going to move at this angle. So I want to cross over these 2 here, and I'm going to have to come over 1, under 1, and then I'm back into my twill pattern. I don't worry too much about the sides not fitting the pattern exactly. I'm more worried about the middle matching my pattern, so I'll do whatever I have to do on the sides. So if I'm like over 1, under 1, that's okay. You also don't really notice the sides too much. Okay, so I'm going to pull it through and leave a little bit of loose thread on the end and just push down my yarn. So if I leave it loose on the end, you can see I'm not pulling in my warp threads on the side. Okay, so again, I want to cross over these 2. So I'm going to go under 1 and then over 2, which is the basic pattern. So some rows will be weird on the ends and some will be the basic pattern of the twill. But again, as long as you can figure out what your middle should be, it doesn't matter what you do on the sides. And I got some fuzz on my warp threads. Okay. Okay, so as you can see right here, you're starting to see my twill, where it's stepping up 1 each row. Okay, so if I want to hit these 2, I'll be under 1 and then over 2. So under 1, over 2. Yeah, we're back to the basic pattern, which is good. Again, I'm leaving my side loose so that I'm not pulling in my warp threads on the ends and making it wavy sides. Okay. Alright, so here, okay, here it's getting kind of off, but that's okay. So I should be over 1, but since I'm ending over, I'm gonna have to come under, and my next would be over these 2, so I'm gonna go under 2. So that kind of breaks the pattern here, but again, it won't show on the sides. So just do what makes the middle look nice. I mean, I guess it would show if you looked really hard, but you know, no one's gonna be looking at the sides of your weave for the pattern. They're just going to get a general sense of it in the middle. And if you feel like you maybe pulled your warp thread in too much, just loosen this on the end by pulling it out. Okay, so you can see it's building here, the pattern. Okay, so again, I'm gonna wanna cross over these two. So I wanna be under that, over this. So I should be over these two if I was following the pattern, but I'm ending over, so I can't come back that way. So I'm gonna go under one, over one, then under one, and then start the over two, under one, over two, under one, all the way across. I think I get the most questions about the ends, because it seems like, you know, when you get there and it doesn't match the pattern, you think, oh, maybe I did something wrong, but you just worry about the middle. Makes life easier. Okay, so again, I want to be over those two, so under one, over two, and I can do that because I ended under, so that works out nice. Okay. Alright. Keep my end loose and then push the thread down. So you can see my twill is still building. So we'll do one more row of the regular twill. So if I want to pass over these two, I have to be under that one. So over one, under one. And then I'm going to go back to my over two, under one, over two, under one. It's getting pretty repetitive, right? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm being clear about how I'm doing the sides. Okay. So again, I can tug on this to make sure it's loose enough, and then just push down the threads in the middle. Okay. Alright. See, I am starting to pull in on my side a little bit, so I just want to make sure that my weft thread is not pulling super tight on the warp, because I don't really want to distort the sides, although it happens. Okay, so if you wanted to keep making the twill, you could just keep going, you know, over and over in the same direction. To make the chevron though, we're going to bring this diagonal back in the opposite way. So this last row I made is gonna end up being our middle. Okay, so what I want to do is, if this is my middle, I want to match this side, but if this is ascending, I want to go descending. Okay, so I want to be over these two warp threads, so under one, over two. So I have to do one under, one over, fine. One under, and then over two. So if you look, I'm going to be matching that row there. So I'm going opposite. So you're still technically doing a twill, but now you're going in the opposite direction, and that's what creates your chevron. And so that's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. So for my next row, I want to be over these two, so under 1 over 2. Okay, so over 2 under 1 over 2 under 1, and so on. Oops. Okay, so you can see, here's my middle row, and you can see, so this is in this diagonal, and then now I'm going that way. Okay, so let's see. Alright, I would want to hit those two, so over 1 under 1, then over 2. Okay. Here, and I can also kind of, I'm pegging this down kind of uneven, so I can kind of bring my weft up on the sides. Okay, so let's come back. So we want to be under 1 over 2, under 1 over 2. Okay, so again, my middle is like right about here, and you can see, so it's like going up, it hits the center, and then the pattern's reversing the direction it's going. Okay, so my next one is those two, under, over, under. Okay. So as you can see, I don't really have a trick to doing the pattern quickly. I have to think about it every time, like, and double check, where am I going with this? I wonder if you do this like all the time, maybe it, you wouldn't have to think as long. But I like to check my rows because I made a few mistakes. Okay, now my string's getting short. Okay, so if I wanted to keep going, I could just bring in another thread and just continue my pattern and weave in the end. But I think this pretty much is showing you the gist of it. In here, I'll get a better angle. Okay, so here's a better angle. You could see we have the middle row, and so it's coming up, and then it's going down, and you can reverse it again, or whatever you want, make zigzags, or change colors, or whatnot. But yeah, so that's the chevron weave. And the twill, actually. Okay, I hope this helps.